The Flames are playing meaningful hockey in March for the first time in 3 years.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I am your host, Jess, and thank you so much for joining me. Today, we're going to talk about, the reality of playing meaningful hockey in March, starting with tomorrow's matchup against the Vancouver Canucks, who are just 1 point behind the Flames in the race for that second wild card spot. Make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your Calgary Flames every day. And let's dive right into this. I feel like these two teams had polar opposite expectations going into the season. Vancouver was supposed to be good. They were supposed to be a playoff team again. They were, they made some important additions over the offseason. Thatcher Demko was maybe going to be healthy. And then things just kind of started spiraling. But for the Flames, the bar was just about as low as it could have been. And they have obviously exceeded those expectations. And I think the attitude and mentality that both teams have pushing forward through the remainder of the season is really going to determine what that outcome is for the second wild card spot or, a playoff spot in general. And it's so fascinating to me that these two teams are just really polar opposites, but are meeting in the middle or at the same fork in the road, I guess, because I thought Vancouver was going to have a much better season. I don't know what is going on with Thatcher Demko. I don't think anyone knows outside of the organization. Just a series of undisclosed injuries. And then they went and signed Kevin Lankinen to a 5-year contract extension when Thatcher Demko is your franchise goalie. But we're going to talk about that a little bit later. I do think it's incredible that the Flames have been riding the high of Dustin Wolf for as long as they have this season. This is not something anyone really expected. I think everyone kind of agreed that he was, it's his rookie year. Goaltending isn't necessarily predictable. But based on what we saw last year and, him taking over the starting role or at least, becoming a full-time backup, whatever the case was, whether it's, a starter or part of a tandem, the workload was going to increase and it was going to be the biggest workload of his career. And that's an adjustment period. You can't expect a 23-year-old to jump into this and just immediately succeed. And Dustin Wolf has been doing Dustin Wolf things. He has played out of his mind this entire season. His athleticism, his technical skills, overall ability to track the puck. He's like a bloodhound on a scent. He is so good. I don't know what else I can say about a rookie goaltender other than he should win the Calder and maybe be in conversation for the Vezina. But I think that the Flames kind of have the advantage here. And we'll talk about how we're going to, approach this game coming up next. But the noise that has been coming out of Vancouver is bananas. It's one thing after another, and you were hoping it was going to quiet down once JT Miller was traded and Elias Pettersson was going to kind of find his game again. And no, it hasn't happened. And then Rick Tocchet is a very interesting coach. You know, he can get your team going. He can get your players going, but I don't necessarily think his approach is what the team needs to have confidence in themselves, to start believing in themselves as a group, to mesh well together and build that chemistry. There was a quote that was going around earlier this week, I guess it was yesterday, about how, you know, their big players have to earn their ice time. And, uh, you know, which is sure, absolutely, like, everyone has to earn their ice time, but I feel like the way like, it just doesn't make sense because Jake DeBrusk is a consistent scorer. Why do you not want him out on the ice as often as you can have him when you need to win games? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't feel strategic, but kind of, I don't wanna say spiteful, but it doesn't feel like it's coming from, like, the best interest of the team. Now, if it was an Elias Pettersson situation where he's gone 52,000 games without a point, yeah, then maybe you start looking at things a little bit different, but you need every goal you can get. So, take advantage of the players that can score consistently. I don't like it, just it sounds so ridiculous to say out loud because it feels like very common sense. The same way that Huska's approach doesn't generate scoring or true, you know, scoring chances, high quality or high danger chances. It's very strange. Like, to me, Ryan Huska and how he, like, leads the room is very different from Rick Tocchet, and I think that the approach, like, you can absolutely, you know, be kind of like, you know, tough as nails and approach them with tough love and, you know, really drill home the point that they could make the playoffs, but if they don't go out there and play their best hockey, that's not gonna happen. While also fostering this environment like Ryan Huska has, where it's, hey, you know, we what happens in this locker room stays in this locker room. I believe in our group. You guys believe in each other. Leave everything at the door and leave your heart out on the ice. You can do both, but I don't know how one is supposed to toe that line successfully. But coming up next, we are going to talk about, I guess, the strategy of approaching this Flames game and why the meaningful hockey in March is actually super meaningful. Coming up next on Locked On Flames. Looking to optimize your nutrition this year? Factor makes eating well easy with chef prepared, dietitian approved meals that are fresh, never frozen, and ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes. With 40 options across 8 dietary preferences every week, you can customize your meals to fit your lifestyle, whether it's calorie smart, protein plus, or keto. Plus, Factor even offers wholesome smoothies, breakfasts, and grab and go snacks to keep you fueled all day long. I am someone that works ridiculous hours, especially if the Flames make the playoffs. I'm not going to have a real schedule. So, the convenience of having meals made and just ready to go, heat up, is the convenience that I need. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/lockedonnhl50 off and use code Locked On NHL 50 off to get 50% off of your first box plus shipping. That's code Locked On NHL 50 off at factormeals.com/Locked On NHL 50 off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Thanks everyone for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcast, as well as YouTube, where you're free Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your team every day. And this is like a playoff game intensity match. The first meeting between these two teams was not good. Okay, maybe it was good because the Flames came back and won 6-5 in overtime after being down 4 goals after the first period. To me, that set the tone for the season. The fact that they rallied within themselves after Kevin Rooney gets body slammed by JT Miller and Canucks fans are chanting JT Miller's name while Kevin Rooney is just lying there, motionless. So, I feel like that game just truly set the tone and let everyone know what this team was about and showed the room, oh, this is who we are. And you use those early games to kind of figure yourself out, and your teammates and maybe your new line mates, things like that. And then you have an identity. And nothing fuels people like the ability to prove people wrong. Nothing on this planet fuels people like that. So, for the Flames to be in the position that they're in right now is very motivating for them. I 100% believe that. However, Vancouver is coming into this game on the second half of a back-to-back, and this is like their third game or 3 games in the last 4 days, which is kind of crazy. I don't really or this is the third game of their 4-game road trip. I just they have to be exhausted. They have to be exhausted, and they will be flying into Calgary tonight after their game. And, I'm not entirely sure that they've got much going on their side. I think that the Flames, they played that grueling 6-day road trip or 6-game road trip. It came back, had a home game, and then had a day off. And, they're back at home in the comforts of their own home cooked meals, sleeping in their own beds. They have rest on their side. And I think that that is truly going to be the defining factor. I think that you're going to see a very tired Canucks team. I think you're going to see a rejuvenated Flames team, whether it's the skating speed, the initiative, the type of plays they're drawing up. I think that it's going to look like you just gave them like a Red Bull and they're ready to go. The Flames are 18-10-4 at home this season. So, again, they have that on their side. There was a long time where the Flames did not play well at home, where they actually played much better on the road. But we have flipped the tables or flipped the script. The tables have turned. But I think that with the rest and this kind of realization that they are playing meaningful hockey in March is going to really show in their game, and it's going to be a different type of Flames hockey. I'm not saying they're going to go out there and score 6 goals or, Rasmus Anderson's going to have the best defensive stretch of his career or anything like that. But I feel like you're going to see a team that looks more like they believe in themselves. I think they're going to play loose. They're not going to be playing like they're walking on eggshells or skating on thin ice. Uptight play leads to mistakes. And those mistakes, especially with the Flames, they snowball and snowball. And then all of a sudden you have an avalanche and not the hockey team. I feel like we have seen games kind of slip away from the Flames because of simple mistakes. I think of the game against Ottawa, where they had 9 penalties, and that game just it was not in reach. And I think the Flames have gotten a lot better at minimizing penalties. I think they have tightened up on the unnecessary penalties as well. And just being a hockey team, playing hockey. And they brought in 2 great players in Farabee and Frost, and the change of scenery for them probably feels so good. And to play for a coach that believes in them that's gotta feel pretty good too. So I think, they have a fire lit under them. Like, there's no other way to put it, I guess. They know how serious this is. They know how much it would mean to the group to make the playoffs after being projected to be a bottom 5, basement dwelling team. They're not there. A team that went out and signed 2 of their former players to long-term extensions, um, is in a draft lottery spot, nearly in a draft lottery spot. That I would honestly feel so good about that because neither Elias Lindholm or Nikita Zadorov wanted to be part of a rebuilding team, and guess what? They are. I think it's, again, nothing drives people, especially athletes, like the mentality of no one believes in us. So I think that you're going to see a lot of that. And you might be seeing just like a true second wind for this team. But coming up next, we are going to wrap up the show with, what this meaningful hockey in March means to this team and players, because this is the first time in 3 years the Flames are actually playing meaningful hockey in March. And I honestly kind of forgot what that's like. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling full longer. I love pistachios. I love in shell pistachios. I think that um, they're just a great snack. They're a great way to put fuel in my tank, whether I am on the go at work or, staying up late to cover a Flames hockey game. They keep me going. Get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Thanks everyone for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you're following me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Jess Belmosto. With this March comes a long season that's led up to this. And Mackenzie Weegar talked with Salim Valji of TSN about how this recent 6-game road trip was the toughest of his career. And I guess, yeah, We all knew it was gonna be tough, and I can't imagine having to play and, like, do all of that. Like, traveling wears me out, okay? But having to do all that and play a hockey game and have practice and have this and meet with the media and go to team breakfast and go to like, that sounds like way too much. But I wanted to, talk about this article written by Salem Valji, "Happy to be home, Flames focus on finishing strong." The blue liner, Mackenzie Weegar, and his teammates are relishing the im the importance of the remaining 19 games in 37 days to close out the season, including a potential 4-point swing on Wednesday at the Saddle Dome versus the Canucks, a squad that the Flames are fighting for a wild card berth. Jonathan Huberdeau calls this probably the biggest game of the year. Every game from now till the end of the year will be like that. We've got to focus on one game at a time, and Vancouver's the biggest one. You start the year wanting to play meaningful hockey down the stretch, and we're doing that right now, says Ryan Huska. Um, Huska said there's a buzz in Calgary with what the team has accomplished so far this season. I love it. I think our players have done such a good job at putting themselves in the mix right now, and people continue to get excited about it. He's right. I cannot believe that I'm not sitting here talking about like draft like prospects. Like, okay, this draft simulation has the Flames picking fourth overall. And these are the players that might be in that category. And what should the Flames do? No, we're talking about potentially extending the season, which was not part of the plan. And not part of the plan at all. Um, and it's nice. Their hard work is paying off. We're using our time wisely. Uyghur said guys are resting, getting what they need from the medical staff if they need it, getting into the spa a bit, the steamer, just getting your mind off of hockey for a little bit. Huberdeau got cut by a high stick in practice on Monday, briefly leaving for repairs, returning to a chorus of stick taps and jokes from teammates. I love this team. They're so unserious. I love them. I think it's just created that belief. It probably started our group feeling, referring to the opening game against Vancouver this season. Uh, hey, if we're down at any point in the game, we have the ability to come back, Huska said, emphasizing how much this group has evolved over the past 6 months. This team does not feel like the same team we went into the season with, even with the uh, swaps in the additions. Obviously losing Kuzmenko and Pelletier for Morgan Frost and Joel Farabee. It's different. It's so different, but I feel like they're so settled in and they have a true identity within themselves and they believe in themselves. That's great. I think it's good. Do I think there are other issues that will truly prevent them from being a successful playoff team? Yeah, absolutely. But having that energy and confidence and just belief in yourself is half of the battle. Because if you go into a situation where, okay, like I'm probably not going to do well, you're not going to do well. You have to fake it until you make it. And they've done that and they've done a great job. Um, Uyghur said the team's culture has benefited from the lack of noise around around trade season. It's been great. With Uyghur said, honestly, the last couple of years here, it's been a little bit different. It's nice that nothing went out. We got a couple guys a little earlier. We've just focused on our team. Okay, well, happy to hear that. But this team needed to do stuff for the deadline. The fan base knows what's at stake here too. We don't need to be gripping our sticks or anything like that. We're just having fun. If we play our game that we know we can play in the belief in here, I think we're going to come out on the good side most nights here. Yeah, Mackenzie Weegar is absolutely correct. And we've talked about that. We've talked about how playing, I don't want to say like you're not taking the game too seriously because obviously you're taking it seriously, but you you can't let yourself get lost in the technicalities of the game. You can't take one bad penalty and then throw a bad hit because you're upset. Or, you can't give up a shorthanded goal and then go and lay someone out. You have to be in control of your emotions while you're playing, because otherwise you're going to, again, spiral out of control. And I think that this team does a good job at remaining level-headed. Do I think that there needs to be, a little bit uh, of an increase in scoring? Absolutely. Do I think that the gaps I was worried about defensively still exist? Yes, but the gaps I think have closed thanks to Joel Hanley's just evolution. I don't This team has surprised me in so many ways, and including Huberdeau's, resurgence and Kadri's phenomenal season. The biggest thing I was worried about prior to the Four Nations break was, of course, Connor Zary's injury and how that was going to impact them. But they're still doing great. He's playing great. I am concerned um, with how Husk is using him and what could happen if you continue to play him on the fourth line when you should be, really fostering the ability for him to be a center or playing higher up in the lineup. But I want to avoid another Sam Bennett situation. And that's what we're going to have to do. But that'll do it for me here on today's episode of Locked On Flames. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope you have a fantastic evening, and hopefully it's warm wherever you are. And make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your team every day. And, thank you for tuning in, and, share this podcast with your friends. And I'm happy to hear from you. Until next time.